Hello, my name's David Ridgway and welcome to the weekly wind-up. Well, we're now very close to Christmas with the shops at full belt, the presents being bought and the larders being stocked. But despite this annual outpouring of excess and overindulgence, which has so little to do with the first reason behind Christmas, there will be a significant number of people who will be spending Christmas on the streets. If you listen to Classic FM, as I do, you will have heard Sir Ian McKellen and the other actors doing their appeal for Crisis at Christmas, raising funds to assist those who are, for whatever reason, unable to help themselves. Today, we're going to look at these imbalances in society and how best we should all try to address them. To help me with this, I'm delighted to welcome to the show Carl Yates from Romero Communities and Diane Hughes, who is a street angel. Welcome to you both.
Hi. And
thank you for joining me today. Before we hear from Carl and Diane, let's hear from the people of Huddersfield.
It becomes a very difficult question to answer, to be honest, apart from the government should be out there doing their bit.
Well, at Christmas it's a family time and the homeless don't have a lot of family, obviously, so I think it'd be probably more kind and heartfelt for the homeless if they had somewhere to go on Christmas Day, have a nice Christmas meal, maybe a present from a few people, and just to feel a part of the community instead of washed out and thrown away.
Christmas, you should be perhaps providing you with a meal on Christmas Day,
if you
can, with various food that you perhaps get from food banks or supermarkets, supply leftovers.
Now, I've been told that the number of people begging and sleeping on the streets of Huddersfield has been steadily rising over the past few years. Carl, can you explain a little bit as to what Romero Communities does?
Romero Communities is a charity that is the only drop-in centre left in Barnsley,
right.
Where people can turn up without an appointment and they can be seen by somebody to help with many issues. It's not an issue that we don't turn down. Whatever person comes in with whatever they've got, we will try to help them.
And are there any chances that a similar organisation, or perhaps Romero Communities themselves, can be opened up in Huddersfield?
I don't see why not. I mean, it'd be really good to make sure that there is. We did think of an idea of having satellites, if you like, in various towns and places, of having the Romero idea mirrored in all sorts of places.
Right. Now, I understand that well over 100 people in Huddersfield will be without a roof over their head on Christmas Day. Is it really true that this number is increasing year on year?
Yeah, I think it's increasing, and I think also that the number can't be really pinned down, because there's not just the people that you might see that seem to get moved on anyway that you think might be sleeping in a box. But there's also people that are technically homeless that might be sleeping on somebody's sofa or floor for an evening and then they get moved on to somewhere else. So homeless to me is someone that basically hasn't got their own home. So it's not just the people on the streets, it's actually people that may be sofa surfing. Right. So that figure could be a lot bigger than what people maybe realise.
So is that figure of 100 or thereabouts the people we actually do see?
They're the people that you actually do know of.
Right, okay.
But I mean, even in homeless centres, some homeless people won't go to homeless centres for various reasons, so you don't actually get a full-on idea of the actual number.
Why wouldn't they go to a centre?
Some people might be living in dangerous circumstances. People that are homeless are homeless for many reasons. Some people might be wanted by the police for criminal activities to either feed a habit or just to feed themselves.
Yeah.
They might be avoiding people, they might be avoiding they're drug dealers basically, and that sort of thing. So they don't turn up to places where they know homeless people will gather for fear of themselves basically.
Okay. Now, Diane, you as a street angel see a lot of these people as you go around doing the stuff that you do. Don't tell us what you do just at this moment, because I'm going to ask you that in a second, but when you see these people on the streets, do you give them advice to seek shelter in a homeless centre and that sort of stuff?
I wouldn't say that we do particularly, because when they're sat there, I'm not sure advice is what they're wanting. They know they get their advice. They get their advice from the Huddersfield Mission. that's where we tell them to go to get advice in the daytime.
Okay, okay.
You know, at night it's difficult.
Do you know what the current council policy is with regard to the homeless?
I couldn't tell you what the policy is now. All I could tell you is what I experienced as someone that was homeless many times. And I think basically if they can get you off the streets and into a safe place of any kind, then that's what they will do, which can vary from a 5-star hotel to an hostel of some sort where you could be surrounded by needles. And then it's a case of...
Well, yeah, it's my understanding that the council has a statutory obligation to find a bed.
A bed, and that's
for
basically it.
Anybody who is without a home. We have a lot of difficulty to cope with discussing the people who have got behind in their rent, whether it's the council rent or the rent to another landlord, and they've been evicted. And when they're evicted, of course, they are technically homeless, and consequently the council then has a responsibility to find them somewhere to go. And we have had tenants, Kirklees neighbourhood housing tenants, who have not paid their rents and have effectively made themselves homeless. Now, when you make yourself homeless, it's a completely different category to being made homeless by somebody else. What the technicality is, I really don't understand, because a person who's homeless is a person who's homeless, and I really think that's where the line is drawn. What's the attitude of the police? Are the police good?
I think you can get a great divide. You get either people that are really sympathetic, that are really helpful, that will even give them a lift to the local soup kitchen, if you like, if you will, or to a hostel. And then you get the ones that are really very dismissive and you know, this is your problem, this is your fault, you should move on, we're not going to really do anything for you apart from move you from this place that we want you to move from.
Well, that sounds to me that there's an issue of training here.
I think there's an issue of training with how to deal with people with mental health issues as well. I mean, there's some people out there that are homeless that they're paranoid schizophrenic, or they're very confused, or they might not get the medication that week, or they've missed an appointment with their psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people can be perceived as being erratic for, it could be perceived as being drunk or whatever, but actually they're actually quite ill and need the right support and care rather than a prison cell.
Now, I realise that there'll be a specific and different reason for each and every person who is living on the streets. And I mean that while we live in our own comfortable and warm environments, to us it can be very difficult to understand how this can happen. Carl, I understand that you've had, how can I put it, difficult times in the past. Can you give us some sort of insight as to how it is that people find themselves out on the streets?
I mean, well, I found myself on streets first time round at 14 years old. Oh. Coming from a family where my uncle was very abusive. My dad was very religious. Well, my mum was as well. And they'd lived in that village since the whole family had. And so after a period of time of being erratic because this abuse was going on, when it came to actually tell them, it was a case of, well, it's your fault. You know, so it was a case of, well, we don't want a family scandal, it's been erratic, you know, people are going to see that it's his fault, and basically threw me out. And so when I got thrown out, I was wet behind the ears. I didn't know anything about crime or anything like that apart from what I'd seen on TV. So when I got put into my first hostel, I was surrounded by people sharing 1, 2 people to a room, to 6 people to a room with criminal records, surrounded by different various drugs and needles, you know, sharp spins and things. I don't think it's so much coping as you just get by from day to day, and you find that politics exists everywhere, not just in Parliament, but actually under a roof full of people that are trying to get day to day, whether it be from fix to fix, or drink to drink, or meal to meal. And before you know where you are, 20 years down the line, your life's disappeared.
So you're now what? You're now 34, 35?
I'm not now, I'm 42.
You're 42?
As of Tuesday.
Right, okay. On Tuesday, oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And your life has obviously turned around quite
It's
quite
turned
a lot
around,
since.
and I think I would say to anybody that's homeless out there, I think the best thing that you can do for yourself, one thing you do find yourself getting locked in when you look back is that you are actually being a victim. Yes, something bad's happened to you, but when you look back, you think there's many times I could have made a better choice. And I would say to people that are out there that are homeless, grab hold of the help that you can with both hands, and stop being a victim and try harder. And that's the two things I've done in my life is I moved totally and utterly away from it all and tried harder.
And taking control of your own circumstance and your own situation.
Yeah. I mean, there's many people turn things down, but feel sorry for me. I've done such. This is bad. If you go to a homeless shelter, you hear a lot of people talking about how they've had a bad time. This happened to me, that happened to me, and everything. And I'm talking about bad things that have happened to me now, back and talking in a pretense way.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm talking with strength and saying, move away from that. Don't wallow in it. Move away from it and take some control and take the help that's actually being offered.
That sounds really horrendous, to be quite frank, because it's so alien to everything that I've been brought up to understand.
It is.
But there's no break across society's differentials, is there? I mean, it doesn't matter whether you come from the meanest streets or indeed the grandest house in the country. I
mean, I work for employment service, and there was a client that used to come in there that came from a really well-to-do family. He used to horse riding lessons and everything, and then found himself on streets again from a broken family. So it doesn't matter what your social class is, it can happen. So
this advertisement, which has been shown on Classic FM on a consistent basis now for, I guess, 4 weeks, Sir Ian McKellen, that if we do send our donation of £22.29, how they calculate the figure is something we could discuss all day, I guess. But if we send our £22.29, it can effectively, this is to Crisis Christmas, this can effectively be exceptionally helpful.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been almost so many times over Christmas, and I remember one place every Christmas used to get a selection box and used to get a meal, and sometimes just that being part of something, that really, really helped. I mean, £22 for someone that's homeless can go quite a long way.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the right way, but it can go quite a long way.
Well, I'm going to take a break there because I want to talk more about Street Angels in the second half, Diane, if that's okay.
Fine.
We've talked about the council and the police, but surely we are all members of society, and therefore we all hold a joint responsibility. And that responsibility covers looking after the sick, the infirm and the poor. But as always, we want your views. The Weekly Wind-Up can always be contacted at info@kirkleeslocaltv.com and on Twitter at Weekly Wind-Up, and you can even find us on Facebook.
However large or small your business, attracting new customers requires dedication and a lot of patience. Just like fishing, but you also need the right gear. Rods,
reels, lines, hooks, sinkers, lures, tackle box, tackle bag, net, bait, gas gloves, clothes, and pocket knife roach.
Or you could simply advertise with KLTV. Online, grow your business and your clientele. KLTV, your vision made reality. Should have gone to KLTV.
Welcome back to the Weekly Wind-Up. I'm David Ridgway, and my guests this week are Carl Yeats from Romero Communities in Barnsley and Diane Hughes, who is a street angel here in Huddersfield. And we've been discussing how best we can improve the conditions of those who will have no bed and no roof over their heads this Christmas. But before we speak to Diane, and she's going to tell us something about street angels, I have some news. Huddersfield Examiner, 15th December 2015. A carol service with a difference was held in Slathwaite, and it was all very much the all creatures great and small for the fun event in a town centre car park. It attracted a large number of horse and pony owners, as well as people with pet dogs of all shapes and sizes. The community service was organised on behalf of the Pole Moor Riding Club by Maz Bradley and Heather Coupland and drew people from across the town. There were various categories for the horses and dogs, but the main attraction were the carols. A short service was led by a very old friend of mine, Reverend Robin Townsend, the Vicar of Slathwaite. As Bradley said, many people brought along their horses and dogs, and they all joined in the carols. I don't know if the dogs were howling, but nevertheless. We had prizes for the best turned out horse and rider, and also for the happiest dogs. There was a fair amount of tinsel around, as you can imagine, and the people there also enjoyed mince pies and mulled wine. We included all the children as well, with a visit from Santa and his sack of toys. The event was held to raise money for the charity Brain Tumour Research and Support across Yorkshire, which provides help for families across the region. I want this part of the show now to be an open discussion, but centring first of all, Diane, on Street Angels. Can you tell me what Street Angels is all about?
Huddersfield Street Angels was set up in 2007.
Okay.
We first went out in March of that year. We go out Saturday nights around the streets of Huddersfield to just help anybody that's perhaps at risk or needing help in some way or other. You may see somebody looking with the head down on the street and just say, "Are you all right?" They may say, "Of course I am." You know, or they may lift the face up and it be covered in tears, and you would say, you know, "Can we do anything?"
Now, I came out with you, it would be 3.5 years ago now, which was extraordinary, really. And I was much taken by the bag of slip-on...
Flip-flops.
Flip-flops you have. And I said, what on earth are those for? And you said...
When girls come out of clubs at 1 o'clock in the morning on these great high stiletto heels, their feet hurt, you want some slippers? Oh, please.
It is actually a blessing. I've got a friend that will take her heels off and walk home barefooted.
They love their slippers.
It's a bit like being on an international air flight, because you get slippers on those as well.
And a wet towel.
Yeah.
I get people bring me them back. People who go into posh hotels will bring me a few back. And the girls love it if I give them better class slippers.
Very good. Like that. So, do you have difficulty getting your volunteers?
We're very good at the moment. We've had very bad periods. We've had ups and downs. At the moment, dare I say, we're okay.
Great. And you must crisscross with the information that Carl was telling us in the first half, with the people who you will see on a regular basis just dossing down on the streets.
Yeah, just there. I have to say, I've never seen anything like 100 in one night. No. If I see 10 in one night, that's an awful lot.
Yeah, but they hide themselves away.
They do.
You see.
They do.
Yeah,
they go
we used to find ourselves in old
arches,
factories and all sorts of places.
Here and there. But in general, we see regular ones. Yes. And we tend to know what time they will stay out till. Then they will go and find somewhere to.
And of course, it's a moving population anyway, because of people who are being released from prison, for example.
That's right.
Will find that they've got, quote, nowhere to go, although theoretically they have, but they might find that the place they have to go to is not safe. Or whatever.
Strangely enough, you'll find a homeless person will actually have some sort of a timetable, if that makes sense, where they might go on and collect their personal issue of payment from the job centre, and then they know that at 11 o'clock that a certain church has a coffee morning, and at 1 o'clock another church might have a meal.
Oh, yeah.
And they move around. When I lived in Sheffield, they moved around from various place to place, and they do have in their own mind a timetable of where to go next, for the next warm and the next meal.
They're quite knowledgeable about things that go on.
Do you have any funding issues?
We do when money gets short, but Kirklees so far have helped us out.
You've not had the big letter in black, the big notice in black letters yet, then? saying that funding's being cut for everything?
No.
No, okay.
And I'm the treasurer, so I'm a very good treasurer. I keep my eye on the funds.
Great stuff. Diane, thanks so much for telling us about that. I actually found the whole evening, I found it very moving in one sense. I found an extraordinary amount of fun in another sense as well. And the reason it's not quite past the thing you might expect me to say, but it was fun because we met so many people that you see week on, week on, week on. And the banter and the exchange of information and the, yes, I'm okay, oh, are you around again? Have you got nothing better to do with your life? And all this sort of stuff was really actually quite comical at times. And all party at Relba, I think it's
I'll
really
be out
good.
tomorrow night, and I was out last Saturday, and I know they'll say to me, what are you doing here again?
Yeah. You're the only lady I know who can quite openly say to people, yes, I do a lot of work on the streets. Well, there we are. So thank you, a big thank you to both my guests this week, Carl Yeats and Diane Hughes. And now for our final news item. The news, as reported in the Huddersfield Examiner on the 15th of December, cast your eyes to the night skies this month and you might just spot Santa in his sleigh. Kids will be able to look for Father Christmas and his reindeer flying high above Huddersfield as he gets ready to deliver presents on Christmas Eve. The bright dot is actually the International Space Station, and it will be visible in the night sky from now until Christmas. But many parents pretend the flyby is by none other than Santa Claus himself, especially on Christmas Eve when he's making his rounds and checking his naughty and nice lists. But if you get the chance on a clear night, get your little ones to look out for Santa on Christmas Eve and then head off to bed early to make sure that they get their Christmas presents. This has been the Weekly Wind-Up. We do want to hear from you. We can be easily contacted by email at info@kirkleeslocaltv.com, on Twitter @Weekly Wind-Up, and on Facebook. Thanks for watching. We hope you will all enjoy a peaceful and happy Christmas.